Greetings from SCN, the Saskatchewan Communications Network.
I'm Larry Keat, and this is One in a Million.
We all have a story to be told, a life and times of people all across this land.
Coming up, Saskatchewan's Queen of Romance.
And his tongue began to explore with exquisite lightness, the soft flesh behind her lips, and the warm cavity of her mouth beyond her teeth.
We meet a man who collects memories.
Well, it's part of your life, eh? It's part of your life.
And a Saskatchewan artist with a love for wildlife.
I was born and raised on a farm, and I guess I was always close to nature. It was always intrigued me.
Welcome to the show. You may be surprised to know that each year, more than half the books sold in North America are romance novels. It's a big business that's dependent on the distinctive style of the romance novelist. One of the most successful and prolific of these writers lives in Kipling, a quiet farming community in southeast Saskatchewan. For the most part, Kipling, Saskatchewan is your typical prairie town. People are easygoing and friendly. Morning rush hour here is a little less hectic than it is in the big city. Life in Kipling bears little resemblance to the life Mary Balogh writes about in her romance novels.
I write a special type of romance called a Regency romance. It's an historical romance, but set in England between 1811 and 1820, when there was a regent because the king, King George III, was, well, mad, to put it briefly. It concerns the aristocracy in England, mostly in London or on their large country estates. It's a obviously very small type of historical period, but there are a large number of writers who write them, so it's a special little subgenre, almost, Regency romance.
In just 9 years, Mary Balogh has become one of the best-selling romance novelists in North America. Today, she's adding the final chapter to her 35th book. Since 1983, Mary has sold more than 1 million books, all of which have dealt with the lives and loves of the English aristocracy.
The emphasis is on elegance and wit, perhaps more than anything, and style is very important. And I just enjoy that type of writing, to be sort of witty and light and amusing.
Like all romance novels, Mary's books deal with relationships, including the emotional and physical side of love. Here's an example of her work.
The book is called A Counterfeit Betrothal. There's a young couple in the book who are pretending to be engaged in the hope of bringing her parents together. They've been separated for 14 years. The terrace is black with people sov. I wonder they don't all run into one another at every turn. They have probably all poured out to catch a glimpse of me stealing a kiss from you. How absurd, she said, as if people have nothing better to do with their time. There is nothing more romantic than a newly betrothed pair, though, he said. Shall we satisfy them? But Mamma and Papa are not out here, she said, and they are the only ones we are really trying to convince, Francis. True enough, he said, but rumour will soon get back to them if we appear cool, and then they may never settle their own differences. Do you think so? She said doubtfully. Very well, then we had better kiss. But don't do that with your tongue. He sighed. Your next beau or your next fiancé is going to think you a dreadful innocent if you don't know how to kiss, Soph, he said. I know how to kiss, she said indignantly. You know how to pucker your lips, he said. That's child's stuff, Soph. Well, she said, offended. If you don't like my kisses, Francis, you don't have to kiss me, you know. It's all the same to me. Perhaps you'd better learn while you have the chance, he said. From you, she said? From a rake? Who better to learn from, he asked. Sophia could think of no suitable answer. You have to relax your mouth, he said, and let me do the leading. Just as in dancing, she said. Just as in dancing, he agreed. And never mind the packers. They are not part of good kissing. Oh, she said. He set a hand beneath her chin and raised it. I have the feeling that it is a good thing it's dark out here, he said. What colour are you, Soph? Is there a colour brighter than scarlet, she asked. Yes, he said, the colour of your face right now. Relax your mouth and your teeth. But they're chattering, she said. Let me worry about that, he said, and set his mouth to hers. Sophia gripped his shoulders as if trying to inflict bruises as his lips teased hers apart, and his tongue began to explore with exquisite lightness the soft flesh behind her lips and the warm cavity of her mouth beyond her teeth. He touched the tip of her tongue with his and circled her tongue slowly. Then he lifted his head away. You are a reasonably apt pupil, he said, as her eyes fluttered open. You can release your grip, Soph. I shall catch you if you fall. You flatter yourself, she said, her voice shaking. You think I will fall merely because I have allowed myself to be kissed as a rake would kiss his... well, as a rake would kiss? I think there's a distinct possibility, Soph, he said. Your knees are shaking. That's because it's cool out here, she said scornfully. And I don't think that was proper kissing after all, Francis. I think it was improper. Oh, it's so hot out here. Is it
Feeling a
steamy
little
in it?
faint here right now, Mary. While millions of readers enjoy this style of writing, others criticize romance novels because of the graphic depiction of love scenes. Mary says that's unfair.
I think it's a perception that lots of people have of romance, particularly people who don't read it very much, that that's what it is, that it's almost like a soft porn type thing. It's not. Obviously the books are romance, and so obviously they're going to have love scenes in them, sex scenes in them. But certainly in my books and in the books of most writers I know, they're just part of the story. They just grow out of the story. They're a natural part of a relationship. And if you take novels of almost any writers that are not labeled romances, they have love scenes, sex scenes in them. In fact, you can't find many novels that don't have some element of romance in them. It's a part of life, so it's there.
Mary writes an average of 4 books a year. That makes her one of the most prolific writers anywhere and has earned her the nickname Mary of the Smoking Fingers. Her amazing speed has not diminished the quality of her work. In fact, she's won numerous writing awards. In 1967, Mary left her homeland, Wales, and came to Kipling to teach. She married a local farmer, raised a family, and settled into a new life in Canada. But she never let go of her lifelong dream of becoming a best-selling author. Do you remember the very first time that you decided you were going to send in a manuscript and see how good you were?
Yes, I started writing more or less as a hobby. I started writing the type of book I liked to read, and when I had it finished, I thought, well, I'll send it to what I think is the best publisher of this particular type of book. So I sent it in, and it was accepted, so I was one of the lucky ones, I guess.
What was your reaction when it was accepted? Were you surprised?
Oh, very, very excited. I was home from school, actually. I was on a sick day with a migraine headache. And the phone rang, and I staggered to it with this migraine headache, and she said, well, this is Hilary Ross. I'm editor of New American Library, and I've just read your book, and I love it, and I'd like to buy it. So, wow, instant cure for a migraine headache. Just a fabulous feeling.
But you've always known from a very young age that you were a writer?
Well, I always wrote long, long stories as a child, and if anyone asked me as a child what I wanted to be when I grew up, it was very rarely nurse or teacher or these usual responses that girls give. It was, I want to be an author.
At 48 years of age, Mary believes she still has many books to write. Her success has allowed her to quit teaching and take on writing full-time.
It's my joy. It's what I love doing. Just as most people will rush to a hobby like golfing or playing hockey or knitting or whatever, that's relaxation. This to me is relaxation. My job is relaxation.
And you get paid for it?
And I get paid for it, yes.
This is a story about a Saskatchewan artist who's inspired by nature and wildlife.
born and raised on a farm, and I guess I was always close to nature, and it was always intrigued me. And it's one of those things you can't explain. It's just one of those things you fall into. And I'm thankful I did come that way, because a lot of these animals that I'm painting along with other nature artists, some of them I think will maybe not be around in a few years, and this probably will be one of the records of them, is some of the paintings of them.
42-year-old Neil Jones has been painting Saskatchewan wildlife all his life.
I've been painting, drawing since I was a kid, but seriously probably 10 years ago, when I finally made up my mind to take the plunge. I think it was, all of a sudden there was a realization that this was an accepted form of art, because there was all kinds of people doing it. And I think that the Bateman phenomena was probably the turning point for a lot of artists, which made them decide to go into it as a career.
Throughout the year, Neil spends a lot of time in the wilderness, studying nature firsthand. He paints landscapes to get a sense of color, detail, and texture. It helps him achieve the realism he seeks in his paintings. Although Neil lives in Regina, he doesn't always have to travel far to experience unspoiled nature.
You know, when you live in the city all the time, you kind of lose track of what nature is, I suppose, and then just to come out like right on the outskirts of town and be able to paint. This could be anywhere in Saskatchewan, in any wild part, and yet I'm close enough to home I can go home and continue on painting rather than staying out for a week or two. But just to be outdoors is the main thing, just for the sunlight and the fresh air.
Neil spends countless hours at zoos and game parks, studying and making sketches of animals.
Yeah, you can't get it like this in the wild. All you get is just quick, fleeting glimpses. Whereas these, if you hang around here long enough, they'll eventually will settle down.
How many sketches do you do in a day?
Sometimes up to about 50, depending on how quick and how much detail I want in them. Or if I have some particular painting that I'm working on, I might have to wait to get just the right sketches, so that I won't get as many sketches done that way.
Do you learn something new every time you come out here?
Yeah, every time. Nature teaches you something every day. All I look for is a different gesture or different pose. I may be able to use it somewhere in a painting somewhere, even if it's just a quick little reference. I think the drawing and the draftsmanship is probably the foundation of being an artist. It's not the photography or the colors or anything. You got to be the draftsman first before you can be anything else. And I think any artist will tell you that. Any big name artist has come through the whole struggle, like right from the drawing up. It's not something that you can just use a photograph make something out of it, because a photograph never tells the whole truth, and that's the problem. It never gives you a three-dimensional look. All it gives you is a flat one-dimensional or two-dimensional view of it. And it's a lot of things, the camera lies a lot of the time, so you have to get to know the animal.
Zoos like this one in Moose Jaw are important to Neil. He believes they also serve a valuable role for the general public.
You know, I think without them, you know, there's an argument about, well, they're kept in captivity and that, but I think there's a certain segment of life that you have to show people and give them the awareness of the animals, or they would never know them and they probably would never care about them. Like nobody would know what an elk was, because in the wild you never see them unless you're really looking for them. And so this gives them a little bit of awareness, and when they see one in the wild, they probably appreciate it a little more because they can recognize it and they can identify it. I don't know, I suppose I have like probably hundreds of ideas always rolling around in my mind, and I can only have time to do so many of them, and whichever one wins out in the struggle is what I'll do. I try to get into, I don't paint for other people. I, you know, discipline myself that I will not jump into and start painting a bunch of a certain species because it sells. I have to paint what I feel like painting, or it doesn't seem to work out right for me. So it's agonizing. Sometimes you'll get a painting to maybe 80% finished, and you'll be so dissatisfied with it, you'll just white it out and paint over it after you've spent maybe a month on it. So that's how agonizing it can get at times.
Why does that happen? It just isn't coming to life like you wanted to?
I think it's a feeling, yeah. It's not just a painting or a drawing. It has to be the feeling that goes along with it. And you have to have that feeling in it to be a satisfied artist, I think. And you never capture it, but you keep striving to capture it.
You've never reached perfection?
No, I don't. If you did, I think you must have quit painting then, and that would be it. You're always striving for something more.
For Neil Jones, painting wildlife is much more than just earning a living. It's a way of life.
I suppose it's a spiritual thing, that it's fulfilling spiritually for me, I suppose. It keeps me going, I guess. That's what it does.
Next, a story about a man who is single-handedly trying to preserve the memory of his hometown. This is the village of Readlyn, Saskatchewan, 10 miles east of Assiniboia. Only a handful of people still call Readlyn home. And this is the Thompson garage, the last remaining business in town.
You're not go far enough. Come down here.
The garage is owned by 60-year-old Frank Thompson. He and his son Les never seem to have a problem finding things to do around the shop.
We got lots of work. All kinds of work. Getting paid for it's a bit of a problem after. Farmers just don't have the money, so they can't pay. They've got to still keep on farming, though. So not much you can do about it. Just wait.
This garage has been in Readlyn since Frank's dad opened it up in 1927. Back then, business was booming and the town was thriving.
Well, it was a fair-sized town, all right. There used to be 4 elevators, and there'd be 5 service stations, and 2 or 3 grocery stores, and a meat market, and a drugstore, and a bank, 3 lumber yards, a couple of cafes. It was a fair-sized town, all right. I can remember going into Readlyn on a Saturday night and you couldn't find a parking space on the street.
No way.
That's right. The cars all over the street there.
By the mid-50s, times had changed. Readlyn was on its way to becoming a ghost town.
They shut the schoolhouse down, and that kind of started everything going. Started to bus the kids to Assiniboia. And after that, everything just gradually went down and down. Everything got centralized. Everything moved to Assiniboine, Moose Jaw, and Regina, and the bigger centers. All the little towns did the same thing. It's kind of depressing, all right.
It is.
Oh, sure. 'Cause, well, you lost your community, eh? But there was really nothing for them to do here, so they moved out.
So why didn't you move with them?
Couldn't afford to. Couldn't afford to move out. I didn't have enough money to even buy gas to move out of here, so that's why I'm still starved to death now, you see.
Rather than just watch his town disappear forever, like so many other prairie communities, Frank decided to carry on another family tradition, collecting antiques and artifacts that were used during the heyday of Readlyn and the surrounding area. These buildings, just across the road from the garage, make up Frank's personal museum. They contain a lifetime of memories and provide a glimpse back into our history.
There was a sign that hung in front of my granddad's watchmaker and jewelry store in England. And then when he moved out here in 1907, he brought it out here with him.
You ever figure out how much this stuff is worth?
You don't worry about what it's worth. You wouldn't sell it anyway.
Real
No,
sentimental value.
Well, it's part of your life, eh? It's part of your life. You know, Larry, you go first. They always let the lady go first.
This is Readlyn's old United Church. Rather than see it destroyed, Frank decided to move it over to his museum and restore it.
Oh, yeah. I can remember going to Sunday school in here. The highlight of the day used to be coming over. Everybody would make a mad dash for the church to see who could ring the bell first.
By far the most impressive part of Frank's museum is his collection of vehicles. He has just about every imaginable form of transportation ever used on the prairie. They're all stored in 4 massive Quonsets on his property.
That one there's a 1909 Maxwell and a 1914 Chevrolet, 1910 EMF, which turned into Studebaker eventually.
These two are monsters right here.
Yeah, they're 30-60 horsepower. That's 30 horsepower on the drawbar and 60 on the belt.
What kind of, now what do they run on? The gasoline or?
No, this one burns kerosene and this one burns gasoline.
Would you get very good mileage, gas mileage with these things?
Well, I don't know. You only got a mile an hour out of them, so I don't know what kind of mileage it would be. You'd probably, depends what you're doing, of course. If you're plowing, real heavy plowing, you wouldn't get very good mileage, all right. It'd probably be about 50 gallons to the mile, more than likely. Do you know where all the Volkswagens are?
Mexico.
No, they're in BC.
Oh.
I think everybody from Saskatchewan moved to BC and took their Volkswagen with them. I was out there in May, and I never seen so damn many Volkswagens in my whole life.
You know, one thing that I found about collectors such as yourself, it really seems to become an obsession with people after a while, doesn't it?
It's just like a disease, yeah. You catch it, and it gets worse and worse. You spend all your money at it. Keeps you broke.
I bet you it does keep you broke, huh?
Oh, yeah. But it's fun. What else would you do with your money if you... Or you wouldn't meet all these people. There wouldn't be that many people come down if you... All you had was a bunch of money in the bank. Eh? You wouldn't get to see all the people.
And this was your plane?
Well, that was my plane, yeah.
What is it?
It's a 1946 Cessna 140.
It's in very good shape.
Well, it's lucky it survived, maybe, the way I fly.
One of Frank's favorite vehicles is this homemade skidoo. Looks like it still works.
Oh, it would still work. My dad and I and Bob Craig built one of these in 1947, 48. Oh, it really worked good. It would go where nothing else would go.
Start it up.
Yeah. Okay, make it snow.
Frank has made a sizable investment of time and money in his collection. It's his way of keeping the memories of his hometown alive. He hopes others will get as much enjoyment out of it as he does. Does it ever concern you that where you'd like to see this collection or how you'd like to see it end up?
You mean
someday?
if I die, what's going to happen to
Yeah.
it? I really don't care. I won't be around to know. Yeah, I'd like to see it keep going on the way it is, eh? But I got no way of ensuring that. You can't force people to do something if they don't want to do it, eh? But I'd like to see her. I'd like to see it go on and on.
That's all the time we have. If you have any questions or comments, please write to us. The address is 1 in a Million, in care of SCN, 8th floor, Chateau Tower, 1920 Broad Street, Regina, Saskatchewan. Postal code S4P3V7. Before we go, here's a look at some of the stories you'll be seeing on 1 in a Million in the weeks to come. This is Lanky's wife, Josie. For almost 20 years, she's been in charge of the parts department. Chances are, if you need a part for your Harley, Josie has it somewhere in her personally designed stockroom.
You know, these are all the air filters. And then we have antique parts. And Harley used to have bikes that we call ring-dings. I call them ring-dings because, you know, they ring-ding-ding.
And this is 80-year-old Grant Budd, the original owner of Prairie Motorcycle. He started this business back in 1936.
Well, as you'll notice on here, when Harley Davidson finds out you've been in a dealership for them for 25 years, they send you one of these. I got 2 of them.
It's at baseball camps like this one at Tom Lang Park in Weyburn, where young hopefuls come to find out if they have the right stuff.
Okay, we'll get going here momentarily. Loosen up good, guys. Make sure you're ready to go. If you have to take a few short sprints, go ahead. But we don't want you running until you're ready. Well, we're not going to wait all day either. We'll be getting going here pretty soon. Okay?
This is Ray Belanger of Weyburn. He's a baseball scout for the Atlanta Braves. Each summer he holds evaluation camps across Canada in hopes of finding future big league ball players.
We need to look at them when they're young. And when we see someone at 16 that looks pretty good, then we start projecting. And it gives us an idea of who to follow and where they live. 16 and 17 are probably the critical 2 years of interest for us.
Watch for those stories and more in the weeks ahead. I'm Larry Keat. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on 1 in a Million.
One in a million.
Season's greetings from SCN, the Saskatchewan Communications Network.